Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, Google+, and also Periscope at Total Tutor and at Total Radio Net and NeilHaley.com. Total Radio Net is awesome because we tweet out all the different radio shows, television shows, my stuff. I retweet everybody's stuff. That's what I do because I got someone else to retweet it too, but I do retweet everyone's stuff. But I'm excited first to welcome my co-host. Fridays are always fun.
Yes, indeed.
Coach Karen Hall, ESPN analyst, WPL Hall of Famer, UNLV running rep. How are you?
Oh, I love that. No, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm great though.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's also always excited to be in the studio because we have fine guests that I get to reach out to. We have John Giammarco from the Pittsburgh Basketball Club, the Pro-Am. He has a Hall of Fame. John, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you.
Thank you, folks, for having me. It's an honor.
Good, good. Well, we want to jump right into it and talk about, not going back too far, but just the whole idea with basketball having become basically your life. So was it starting with coaching, or can you take us there, please?
I was a student of the game. Whenever Coach Gergerich, who was head basketball coach at Pitt, and he ended up leaving here and was a longtime assistant at UNLV. And
Scarlet and Gray.
Scarlet and Gray.
Okay.
And really, I came from a family of teachers, and you know, my brother was baseball and basketball coach at Montour, and I was at the time I was a student assistant for Ed Watchko at Cornell High School, and I just really got the bug for it. And I mean, at the age of 19, I was a student assistant for a team that made it all the way to Hershey, and just started from there. And Coach Watchko takes the job at a neighboring school and says, "You want to coach?" I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Okay, I'm sending you to the little elementary school, and let me know how you do." And the teaching and the interaction, it just became something that just became a part of me. And yeah, I hate to say, I've given most of my adult life to the game of basketball in Western Pennsylvania for the kids, and it's been just an honor and a pleasure. And just it's my golf. Right. It's my hobby. I go to work every day like everyone else, but basketball is my passion.
Right, and seeing that passion and how it's a year-round thing, it keeps you as busy as your job for sure.
Yeah, it does.
Your personal job, yeah.
And then, in 1994, I believe this is the 23rd year of the Pittsburgh Basketball Club, I was an assistant coach at Stowe Rocks High School. And
okay, so we're going to assistant. We played you in the WPL finals, and we lost.
We lost the PIAA finals. I own 6 WPL championship rings. And I don't know how many things with the lower levels, but
so in '91, did you play us? Sarah, we lost to you guys.
Yes, we beat you at the Fieldhouse, and
there goes the connection. If they would have put me in, I would have stopped. And Coach Rosansky didn't play me like he played me against Gump and them when I was swatting everything. Because big guys, because we had a big lineup. Now you kind of remember it, and then your guy. It was Gabe Jackson, right? Or no, it was not Gabe. It was
Gabe was at New Brighton.
No. Who was the big star Stowe Rocks?
Mark Dominic.
Mark Dominic and
at 6'7", and we had what was the foundation of a couple more title teams: Keith Reddicks, Marvin Thomas. I don't think Monty Latimer was. I think he was a freshman the next year.
Who was with Mark Dominic? Who was the other star with Dominic that year?
Steve Sekelic.
Okay, so what I remember that team is I could shut down Dominic. And everyone was saying, "What the heck is Rosansky not having in there in that game?" And so, see, there you go. See, I never thought, I had people, because we beat Clareton. I mean, we beat Clareton because of my size. I was rebound block shots. They didn't keep track of block shots when I played. Why didn't they do that? That's the kind of thing I would.
I don't know if they do it yet. I think now they do. Now everything is so stats.
So I was more the defense, rebound, block shot kind of guy. But I don't know how you can remember my face from that. But coaches, and were you the head coach at Stowe?
No, I worked under a man named Dick Ciatrone, who played his college basketball with Cincinnati with the great Oscar Robertson.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, he was just like, just a second father. How he stayed calm, cool, collected. And some of those games were so pressure filled, and you know, we weren't exactly the picture of popularity when we went into opposing gyms. I mean, we were the Oakland Raiders of the WPIL. Everyone hated us. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I mean, those were just exciting games. That whole playoff, it was Sarah, Stowe Rocks, New Brighton, and Carleton. Now, out of those four,
yeah, and I shut Carlington down.
Three of those teams were all
O'Shea, right?
Yeah, T. O'Shea,
and
Gump.
And Gump.
Yeah.
I ended up playing on a team with Gump in like a summer league, and Gump and I played. But I swatted T. O'Shea, swatted. So they're like probably people like the recruiters came down and played, and then they come to the WPL final, and I had coaches tell me, why didn't they play you in that game? If you look back at what you did, you are the reason why they beat Carlington, because every time they brought the ball inside, you just kept it from getting inside. So you probably watched all the films and all that, but I doubt that's how you remember.
And that Carlington team the year after was the first year they had the WPL championships at Palumbo.
Okay.
And we played, and they were in our section. And we just had two breathtaking games with them in the regular season. And we lost at the buzzer in both games. And we had to go overtime, and we beat them at the first games at the A.J. Palumbo Center when they start moving the whip wheels there.
So,
go ahead.
Stowe Rocks. Go, Coach.
Well,
you know him more than I know him.
Well,
maybe not now
but,
after we're talking about this.
I just hope this doesn't turn
And then you're gonna say,
adversarial.
what are you putting Coach in the Hall of Fame? Because we would have beat you. Because that's because Stowe Rocks beat you.
But
You got a WPL title.
It takes one memory for everybody to remember back then. It doesn't take much.
I know.
You know, so Coach Giammarco.
What did like Bob Prince used to say? No. We had them all.
Oh, this is good. Well, you know, I mean, you obviously got the bug early. You learned to some very talented coaches.
Yes, Coach Watchko,
yeah, like
Coach
the
Gergerich.
whole mentoring of influencing young adults, being able to teach using the court as your classroom. So how gratifying, because you're still in it today. So how gratifying at a young age even was that for you to keep you moving forward?
You know, at the time, you know, when I decided I want to be a coach, and I called Coach Gergerich, and he says, "All right, I made you an appointment to go see Bill Shea." And I mean, Coach Shea is so. I went up there and I had folder and pen and my charts and stuff, and we just never talked in X, never talked in O. And he said, you know, you don't know how good of a coaching job you did until 5 years after they don't play for you anymore. And I called girl, I don't think this guy liked me. And then, you know, it was weird. I was putting Coach Shea into the first class of coaches into the Hall of Fame. And I was going through some things in my dad's garage, and I found that notebook.
Wow.
And what special people we had here in the youth. I mean, Coach Gergerich, Coach Shea, Coach Maloney from CMU.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, these guys, they were teachers. And I mean, you know, they made you, I mean, good people. John Gaetano from Northgate. And, you know, I mean, and, you know, these guys were teachers. I mean, they weren't coaches, and they made you better people. And I mean, I know this past year at this, I mean, it's the basketball club, so it's a cold, stormy night in Stowe Rocks, and we, you know, those guys that beat you in 90, 91, well, they were now seniors now. They lost, I believe, 7 games in their high school career. And I was doing some consulting work for Sonny Vaquero, who had just left Nike for Adidas. And Coach Citrone pulled me aside, and just powerful, talented teams coming up the pike. He goes, "Now we got to get these kids some experience. Maybe we should get in a summer league or something." Now at the time, you know, when Sonny left Nike, the shoe wars were on, and you know, Sonny had a league set up at Keystone Oaks, and it was Nike sponsored. Well, we needed our own. I wasn't going there, so I rounded up 8 teams, and I started my first Pittsburgh Basketball Club Summer League, and the 8th team to join it was funny because it was John Sarandria, who had left University of Pittsburgh to take over at Newcastle. And, you know, he wore our shoes and what have you, and hey John, can you give me directions to Montour? You know, at this point, I don't know my way out of Kennedy Township, much less how to tell somebody how to get there from Newcastle or talk to Coach Watchko. But Karen and I were talking. Back then, we'd make the schedules on Coach Watchko's classroom chalkboard, room 212 at Cornell High School, and we're hammering it out. I'm going through all of the school picnics and commencements, and so it's all done. Yeah. It's all on the board. I said, well, I better write this down. He goes, no, I'll get one of the kids tomorrow morning. They'll type it up. I'll give them a couple of points extra credit. I said, well, you sure? I don't want the janitor coming and erasing us. The janitor was right outside the door. And you'd have to know Coach Watchko to rule you because, that bum never washes a chalkboard. So the janitor heard him. It's not
Oh, no.
washing chalkboards. We had to start all over again. And that's the first years. And now, I've got 2 computer programs that have to manage it. And but it started out very, very humbly. We had and I was on the phone touting this great summer league, and I never ran a summer league. I don't know what the heck to do.
So were you doing that while involving with Stowe Rocks?
I was coaching at Stowe Rocks, and I was also doing some consulting work to introduce Adidas to. They were making a comeback. Sonny had left Nike for Adidas, and they were making a comeback, and we were trying to get the shoes on people's feet, and I'm shouting from the top of the mountain, my league, my league, my league, except somebody pulled me and said, John, you never ran a league. I said,
So Sonny's doing the other league. He's still Nike when he's in.
No, he was at Adidas. He was just giving me the shirts for the league.
Okay.
And so then after that we started another one at another division at Shaler High School. I believe Jay Bardo. And then from there, all of a sudden, I've got a league in every. And there's not a league that's not 15 minutes away from someone's home. There's north, south, east, and west.
How many leagues are there? And this are these both the teams are high school teams, right?
Yeah, there's over 100. I had 14 gyms going at the same time Tuesday night.
Yeah, like presently.
And
does White Oak still have a league, White Oak Athletic, or not? Because I played in White Oak.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I have enough trouble keeping
McKeesport,
my arms around mine.
Penn Hills were in our league.
Yeah.
McKeesport, Penn Hills.
Now we send teams down to Central Catholic, a little bit more central, a little bit that's kind of in the middle for those. And then so summer leagues then became fall leagues, and everyone laughed at me.
Right.
You're going to play fall basketball during football season. And now all of a sudden that has, there's 60 teams playing fall basketball.
So you have these leagues, and at the same time, a couple questions going through my mind, but I'll ask one at a time. The Pittsburgh Basketball Club is now happening. So you have, was O&M under Mr. Coleman? I think, I know Mr. Coleman was sort of, things were kind of going on the end for the O&M.
His health wasn't good.
Exactly.
And, I was lucky to talk to him before he passed. And, things were changing there.
Yes.
And, and a lot of what I do is with the good things that he did in mind. And now, Darrell's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this past year, Darrell and I got together and we have a PBC O&M All-Star game, and and we whipped it together in like maybe 3 weeks, and we filled the gym at Montour, and we've already got plans for next year. We're gonna add a girls game, and and I want to get into like the MVP award maybe from Mr. Coleman or something. There's a lot of. I'm very big in honoring our past. Our basketball past is so tradition filled. Yeah.
So when we get back, more John Giammarco. And
that's good or bad, I don't know.
More it's just interesting to learn about what the basketball thing is, especially what I've gone through, and now he has to bring in salt and wound of not playing in that game. If I'd have played more in that game as a starter most of the games.
I didn't wear the ring. I didn't
run. Exactly. I remember. He remembers the game.
Yes.
He said that. Do I know you from somewhere? But I doubt when I look far different than this skinny, tall, 6'9" guy that I am now, 6'10", and weigh a lot more. But it's memories, and he brings up Coach Rosansky, And I will not get that opinion because, again, he's in his Hall of Fame. So we get back. You're watching the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
Rather than just reading about history, why not see history in action? Perhaps no historical event that took place in Western Pennsylvania has any more importance than the Whiskey Rebellion. Visit the Oliver Miller Homestead on Sunday, July 17th from 1:30 to 4:30 to learn why this event occurred, its importance in our history, and its outcome. Western Pennsylvania farmers in the late 18th century had little of value to sell back east to be able to purchase their needs, but their whiskey was the best. Monongahela rye became a prized purchase. When the federal government passed a tax on their whiskey, revenue agents came west to impose the writs that demanded the payment of this tax. William Miller, son of Oliver, resisted paying this tax or registering his still in far-off Philadelphia. Not only he, but nearby workers vigorously resisted the paying of the tax and reacted with marches, firing of rifles, and great anger toward the government. The situation escalated into occasional acts of violence and even more angry marches by the rebels. Learn more about these events and their outcome in a series of skits that will begin at 2:30 on the grounds. Admission to this special event is only $2. Learn more about this and our other events at www.olivermillerhomestead.org.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor and also at Total Radio Network and NeilHaley.com, all the different places you connect with me. But I just tell you, John Giammarco.
I need a bigger TV channel changer to catch up with you.
Social media-wise.
Social media?
All that. Oh, yeah. My interview started today at 8:50
Yeah.
with Michael Harney, Orange is the New Black. I interviewed him. So
I have a story, not for the king, but
you can talk. Tell us a story now.
not the one that I want to tell you about the night of the championship.
Tell when we take a picture. Okay, so that's another network, another opportunity. Okay.
Let's get into like the Pittsburgh Pro-Am.
Yes.
So how does that originate out of the high school? Where did that come from? Where did that idea come from?
I went to the wrong room at the NABC Coaches Convention, and there's a registration, and there's just a potpourri of people everywhere, and I walked dab smack into Jamie Dixon. I mean, when I say I walked right into him, I mean, like I almost bowled him over because I was in the wrong. Okay. I went to the coaches registration instead of the high school coaches registration, and there's just a lot of people that you catch up with there. And so I bumped into Jamie, and he just finished up a great season, and I, congratulating him, and he said, "John, he goes, why don't you have a league for my guys?" And I said, "Coach, I never thought of it." And so, plans started in place, and later that night, Sonny was hosting, his big Adidas party, and there's a picture, and I would love to get my hands on it, of all of the people from Pittsburgh who were at this party, who had roots to Pittsburgh. I mean, Mike Rossman and John Gipko, I mean, all of us were in this picture. And in this picture, my hand is on Jamie's sister, Maggie, and I'm poking my head into the picture. And it was awful. I mean, a week later, Maggie passes away, and so I just kind of, I'm not bothering this guy. I mean, I can only imagine what he's going through. And I got a phone call. "Are we ready to go?" But I had started the NCAA paperwork. Okay. So it was submitted, but I'm just thinking, this thing just fades away. And so he called me and said, "Are we ready to go?" I said, I thought he wanted to borrow my portable scoreboards for camp or something. He's like, no, John, the league. And I said, "Well, Coach, I didn't want to borrow." He said, "I got to keep busy." And so we pulled the first league together, and I had some extra gym time at North Allegheny the first year. They had 3 courts, and so we had the games up there the first year, and then we couldn't quite finish the schedule there, so we moved it to the Green Tree Sportsplex, and it was initially, that was its home. I mean, and the people. I've run leagues for all these years. I've never seen so many people. I mean, we were on the front page of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and it was Steeler training camp season, and you know, basketball is not supposed to be there, much less.
It really had some unbelievable teams.
We had, there were some great teams. I mean, Dewan, and I mean, and the NCAA rules were a little bit easier to work with. I mean, you know, some of those rules, I probably got a better chance of solving world hunger than really figuring them out, and so. So, you know, I would get there early. You know, I'm very hands-on with my stuff, and I'd be setting up the scoreboard and stuff. And, you know, like the lights were like half lit, you know. And it's like, you know, when someone, you know, someone's watching you. And I'm looking over the corner of my eye, and there's this guy. He's got box lunches, and him and his kids are eating. And I'm like, sir, like, what are you doing? Oh, you know, got to get here early to get these front row seats. Well, it turned out Dewan Blair had a thing where he'd pick a little boy in the front row to go get him water. That was their job. And I mean, I worried, and I knew in time we had to get out of that. So out of the sportsplex, because Dewan dunked, and that poor little boy was sitting on the backstop there.
Right.
And I mean, he took off like a jack in the box. But boom.
So you had the team that played in the league, in the Elite Eight. The last one.
Yeah, the first league, I believe, 2006, 2007. And I just looked at this guy. I said, sir, I said, you need some grass to cut or something. Games don't start for 2.5 hours. And he came up to me later, and he said, I didn't mean to alarm you, but he said, you know, I could never afford the donations to be this close to the players, and the players were great. They, you know, autographs, the pictures, and, you know, they'd include the kids. And I mean, we had, you know, Sam Young, and I remember the one year, the Indiana Pacers were considering signing a young man named, his last name was Jackson, Aaron Jackson, I believe, played at Duquesne. He was a 6'3" guard. Well, I'm sitting at home, and I get this call. At my website, the rosters weren't ready yet, you know, more information coming soon. And I guess they interviewed the Jackson. He was MVP of the second league, and the Indiana Pacers interviewed him, and he talked about, you know, the Pittsburgh. About, well, this wasn't just anybody. He interviewed with Larry Bird.
Right.
So this 617 area code's popping up on my phone, and this lady with this Midwestern draw that, I mean, you knew it was the Midwest. And I'm on the phone with Larry Bird. And I don't know if you can notice, I can yak away here. And he said, hey, once you know, heard a lot of good things about this, and, you know, when you get a schedule, you know, would you mind just, and he gave me his secretary's email, and lo and behold, a scout from the Indiana Pacers showed up at the league that summer. I mean, and sometimes they come from worldwide. We've had them from leagues in Argentina. One of my all-time favorites, who is one of the top boardmen in Spain, is Joaquim Donaldson. I mean, he played in the league, and it's been really a who's who of Western Pennsylvania basketball. And you know, last year, for one reason or another, you know, we couldn't have it. But I mean, you know, this year it's coming back. I had the opportunity to meet with Coach Stallings, and you know, the interest in it, and I've, you know, done it in a lot of leagues, a lot of camps, tournaments of all ages. You know, our Hall of Fame weekend games last year, and we hosted, you know, Alderdice against Mars, and you know, Hall of Fame weekend has just become. And again, I sort of fall into these things. We're sitting up in the stands in the pro-am, and it's me and Coach Shea and Frank Gustine, and you know, and the war stories are flowing, and they say, you know, there's no basketball Hall of Fame. I said, you know what, I could do that. So we start digging into the names, and you know, of course, one of the first names that came up was Maurice Lucas. So I set out to reach Maurice, and reached a mutual friend, and he said, Johnny, Reese's really, really, really sick. And that's kind of when I realized I had to hit the accelerator to that, because the 60s and the 70s, and I call it the Legends Division, where the Round Ball Classic was who's who in basketball.
For sure.
And I mean, the names, there's been, I mean, I get probably a dozen, you know, suggestions to put on the ballot weekly.
I'm sure.
Weekly. I mean, and I will have Hall of Fame brunches. I'm figuring with the names already submitted probably for the next 20 years.
But you have the different categories. So
yeah, we have a coaches division. Yeah. We have a legends division. We have a contributors division where, you know, like last year we honored Rick Ellsbury, a great referee in our league. So, you know, we honor the referees. I mean, and they've been a big part of all this too, the athletic directors, and, you know, there's just so many great players. And, you know, I like to do it, you know, when, you know, like last year, I tried something and I was pretty pleased with how it turned out. You know, Coach McCluskey from Farrell, no family, and boy, the Farrell people were after me. How do you know all of that? I'm like, well, okay, who's accepting this award? You know, and I bumped into a couple of his former players and at the airport, and I'm sorry the name's slipping. We played at Duquesne, just great player. We honored him last year, and he said, well, how about if we get all the surviving captains together, we'll come accept it. And I said, you know what, that's a winner.
Yeah.
And so we had them all there, and so this little 8-team summer league in 1994 is, you know, morphed into, you know, multiple sites of summer league, and we bring them all.
So you still do the pit basketball and all that?
The Pro-Am.
Yeah, the Pro-Am tips off this year, July 6th.
Who do you, what team, like that, real quick for information for people out there, because that's going to air soon. Question about, like, it's Pitt's players, it's local?
Pitt, Duquesne, and Robert Morris's players will all be here.
What about West Virginia? Any?
The NCAA rules make it difficult. Okay. We have an offer out to them, but see, they changed it. Before WVU would come, you know, it wasn't quite as stringent for how many players could play on one team. So, and you look at
so they're on different teams.
You could only have 2 players per team.
And then they're all the best players
in
college basketball.
Yeah, you have to look. WVU's driving 90 minutes up and 90 minutes back, and it's difficult.
Best place website, all that stuff for you, John.
www.pittsburghbasketballclub.com.
Well, amazing, but you have to put the salt in my wound right now with that loss, and you'll have to tell Coach, I didn't forget, and I am media.
He did not mention it in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching the Neil Haley Show. You never know who's going to be a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Take care, guys, and we'll see you next week.
And for those of you in Bethel Park that don't know me, I am Mr. Bold, one of the many stars here at Bethel Park TV, Channel 7. I hope that the folks in Bethel Park understand what we have here in the way of BPTV, the asset that the television station, the public television station, is to the community of Bethel Park. For Mr. Bold personally, one of the things that I would like to do, and I've talked to Dave about this, is a show gearing itself towards veterans. And I would throw out an invitation to the veterans in our audience here in Bethel Park or around the South Hills. If you want to contact Dave Cable here at the station and let them know that you would be willing to share your experiences, especially the World War II veterans who are losing here at an alarming rate, and pretty soon there's not going to be many of them left. I would love to get them on TV if they would be willing and interview them.